At the end of the last video, I did forget to write value on this section, so I went ahead and added it. For this one, we're going to do form, and the way we're going to do that, we're going to draw a shape and shade it in. So I'm going to write this here. So form is an element of art. Okay. And I have this circle. I'm going to draw a square here, and I'm going to turn it into a cube. So you draw a square, 2 lines, and then you connect those. Like this, a little bit bigger. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to use value to create shading to make an object look 3D. So for this box, I'll go ahead and actually outline this in pen so you can see this. And it's not a greatly drawn one. And I'll use red actually for this one to show you how you do the values with a coloring pencil. So my light source is actually going to come from this direction actually for my box. So I know that this surface will stay pretty bright and I won't touch that. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to color this side red. And I'm actually going to color this top part red too. And then I'm going to go in with the black. I'm going to color in this spot and go super dark because that's going to be my darkest value. And I'm going to darken from there. I'm going to go lighten, color this surface. And then I'm going to create a shadow. I'm going to use the black and draw space here and create the shadows for the box. For this ball though, I am going to leave, sharpen this, I'm going to do this in pencil. I'm not even going to mark this with a marker. So I'm going to take this. I just traced the bottom of a cup for this. And so just like when we did the apple the first week of our sketchbook, I'm going to lightly draw a curved line here so that I know that this is where my shadow basically starts. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to fill in this with the first value. Not go too dark. Let me go ahead and fill this. Now let's see. Went ahead and sharpened my pencil so I could use more of the edge, the side of my graphite, to get more coverage. And I do want to come up this way and blend by going even lighter with the value, just to make a softer shadow. If you want a harder edge shadow, you can. But I prefer a soft shadow. I'm actually going to kind of go up a little bit more with a little bit more of a lighter value. Kind of blend this area a little bit. Alright, so now I'm going to go in about halfway between the edge of this shadow and the bottom. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to darken this with the next value. So I'm going to press a little harder with my pencil. Okay. Keep going. Just like so. And then I'm going to go back in and with a little bit of pressure and blend. And then I'm going to go and darker towards the bottom. I'm actually going to get closer on my pencil as well. Now, if you have the art pencils, I do not suggest that you use like the 6B for this one. I would go maybe 4 or 2 for this form. And then maybe just lightly with the 6B go across this bottom of the darkest area, but not too much. And so then I'm going to create just a small shadow going across here for the ball. I don't want to cover up my cube that I have here earlier. And there we have an example of form. So the next area that we're going to work on, I'm going to turn this. We're going to work on texture. Now, I don't mind if you pick 2 textures or if you decide that you're going to do just 1, but note that it might be a little more fun to do 2. So I'm going to split this in half, this way, not the other way. If you want to do, you can look up and kind of figure out different ways of drawing texture. I am going to do like a reptile skin, I guess, and I'm going to do a fur. So with the fur one, then I'll use coloring pencils. You're more than welcome to use coloring pencils if you want. If you don't want to, and all you have is a pencil, it's fine. I would not really do this with marker unless you have the more expensive Copic markers, because you can create different values by going over areas with those markers. So with the fur, I'm going to use brown, black, and yellow. So first I'm going to go over, let me erase this mark here. I'm going to write the word texture on here. So I'm going to draw little tick marks. You can start from the bottom if you want to. And just draw some tick marks. Then I'm going to go with the brown and do the tick marks as well. Now, the closer your marks are to each other, the darker the fur or the hair is going to look. So, and hair has highlights and lowlights in it as well, depending on how light hits it. So, a drastic example would be if you look at an anime person's hair, the way they have like that super shiny section is kind of like the highlighted area of where the light hits. Now, most people's natural hair are not that shiny, unless they put some product in it or something like that. But you are, if you wish to kind of create almost that drastic of a look on this, you may do so. Okay, then I'm going to go in with my black, go into the darker areas. Now, if you have a pencil, you just do different values, like different amounts of pressure with your pencil to create this kind of look. And here we go with the fur. I know it's kind of hard. It doesn't translate really well on the phone or the screen. And then for my reptile skin, I'm going to go in with a light green first for my area. Now, you can look up other videos for how to draw this. You're not limited to what I have for an example in mine. So I've gone in, I've colored in this section with the light green. You can add a little yellow if you want to. Let's do a little yellow in this section. Then I'm going to take a brown or a dark green, and I'm going to maybe add like a bigger oval shape here. Kind of shade that in a little bit. Get some of this darker green to some little bitty. Let's do some brown circles. Now, I'm just kind of like making this up as I go along, and you are able to do so as long as it looks like it would be something that you could touch, and you would like know what it would feel like if you were to touch it. So this would be like bumpy. I'm pretty sure there are several other techniques for drawing the texture this way, and you are more than welcome once again to go look at those. So I'm just going to stop here for this texture, and then we're going to go into this space section. Now when it says space, I don't mean like outer space, positive and negative space within art. So what we're going to do is I'm actually just going to draw a very simple apple shape. And then I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to split it in half. Now you can draw a different shape, just make sure that it's not too complicated, because when you go to fill it in, it's going to make a difference. And this time I will probably actually use a marker. I'll use complementary colors of red and green for this one. So I'm gonna do that line. I'm going to trace my apple shape. Ooh, that's a weird apple shape, but it'll work. So I'm going to go back in and I'm going to erase this pencil line in the apple. And I can still lightly, just erase it enough to where you can still lightly see it, but it's not overly dark. So I'm going to take this, fill in this half of the apple in green. Then I'm going to take the other half and I'm going to fill this in with red. Now, using this line that I drew earlier on the outer side, I'm going to fill in this space with red, because it's the opposite of the other one. So I'm going to fill this in. Okay. Then I'm going to take the green and I am going to fill in this half with the green. So there we go. And there we have our space, our positive, negative space drawing. If I remember correctly, positive space is the space that an object takes up. So our apple would be the positive space, and the negative space is the space surrounding it. So the outer side of our apples is the negative space. So I'm going to go in here, write space. Now, you're going to have this space either at the bottom or the top of your paper. And so what I want you to do is I want you to pick 4 of the elements. There's 8, so you're just going to pick like half. It doesn't matter which 4. You are going to pick 4 elements, and you are going to fill this section in with a drawing using those 4 elements. Now, you may be thinking, oh my gosh, that's so hard. No. Color, like when you're drawing an image, that's using lines. So you could do color. You could use values while you're when you're doing it and you're coloring it. So something like if you're adding shadow, shading, the object that you're drawing is using shapes. So even if you were to draw like a picture of a strawberry. So let's see, I'll draw a little quick strawberry here. So this is a line, like we're using lines to create our strawberry. So we're going in and we're using shapes. Then if I were to color it, that would be an element. So we have line, shape, color. Line, shape, color for our strawberry so far. And then if I were to shade it and add some value, that's already form and value there. So technically I have now used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements to create that. And if I decide, even this is a positive and negative space drawing with the strawberry, because the strawberry is my positive space and the outer shapes is my negative. So we're actually covering all of them. Now, if I decide to make my leaf look rough, or maybe I add an ice cube next to it and make it look shiny, that adds my texture to it. Or if I make even the table that my strawberry is on look like wood, that is your texture, and that would cover all of your elements. But you are free to fill in this section with a drawing, any drawing that you want that is school appropriate, and just use 4 of the elements.